It's been a while since I started trying to come up with a use for AI in my programming life. I've come up with what I think is the future of AI. And I'm going to tell you, and it's going to be controversial to a lot of you. The first thing is that AI is looking for a problem to solve. And the problem that everybody's landed on is it saves you time. So what the AI bros get themselves into is a place where they become the orchestrators, and they don't actually know what's going on behind the scenes. They don't care. All they care is that the work is done. You basically have a bunch of middle management. What we're creating in terms of a process is one where individual developers, and I'm just talking about software development at the moment, but this applies to other fields as well, but individual developers are going to lose over time their ability to write code. Other people who don't lose the ability, who keep on writing code, they'll become higher in demand. If a car manufacturer suddenly decided to up their production line or to double the amount of cars that they had, would they sell double the amount of cars? They could actually bankrupt their company by trying. And that is what we've got going on in the software industry. We have learned over time that sometimes having fewer features, a lot of times, in fact, having fewer features makes it clearer to the customer what the software does. In a perfect world with vibe coding, it'd be like ordering from a menu. You say, these are the things I want, and you get it. You know, with all the features that you wanted to have, and you just implement it, and then it's done. This is the direction that the industry thinks it's going. No developers, just magically you got content. And therein lies the problem, the nature of my problem with AI. What CEOs want, what industry wants out of AI is copywritten free content. Now, how are they getting that content? They're laundering it. And we have a whole industry of sampling and who we pay and how we pay. And basically, the CEOs want to get rid of all of that. They want to skip everything, take everything that's ever been made by humans, and just build on that and pay nobody anything. But that said, you know, if nobody can make money off of content, then nobody's going to make content. If AI is going to just absorb whatever content you put on the internet, then you're going to see paywalls going up all over the place. It's not going to be this utopia that the AI bros think it's going to be. Inevitably, if we're just talking about music, let's say, there's going to be a resurgence of just people playing guitars. It's really hard to have this discussion when the data has been munged, when everything is tokens, and there is no access into what has been used where, because everything has been turned into a percentage and odds of this coming up before that. And so so developers will quickly talk about when the iteration of this will come up versus this other thing, and what they're prioritizing, and they'll get into all the details of the code. They'll say, see, it's not simple. And no, it's not simple, but it's not simple on purpose. They could have made LLMs just take the best blocks of text, and make everything like Wikipedia, and just quote things, and just say, okay, this is from this article, this is from this. They could have done that. They decided not to. So all of this, from what we're going to do legally with laundered content, because that's what it is, to what we're going to do to make software, how we're going to go about doing it, what processes we're going to use, what processes work, to the change of AI itself and prompt engineering, and how it's going to evolve and how quickly it's going to evolve and change those jobs into something else, to who is even buying the products that we're making. Yeah, if you write 1,000 books, doesn't mean you're going to sell 1,000 books, right? And what good does it do you if you can't copyright it? Because can't right now. I'm not completely convinced that AI is terribly useful. If the thing that you have to say is that if everything is more efficient, then that's not a convincing factor for me, because the speed of business is not going to suddenly speed up because AI made it possible to speed up. You know, if you release 100 versions of your software in a year, your customers aren't going to even know what happened. The chain of custody gets lost, and that is the design. That is the intent. And to just say that, well, it's faster, it's a cop-out. I mean, okay, it's faster, but isn't everything faster if you decide that you're not going to have any controls on it? I'm not against LLMs or AI at all. I have no issue with them other than the laundering content thing. I mean, we really should be paying everyone who submitted content to be used something. Raise the value of the content. I mean, the content is basically they want to take what's free. I went to Beijing a bunch of years ago, and I have this story that I'm not going to retell, but that I realized how much the culture in China, at least in Beijing, doesn't respect copyright or patents. If one person on a city block in a store finds that something sells, everybody on that block will start selling the same thing. The copying is what you do. It is, and this is where we're going in the United States, at least, that the content, anybody's content, can be copied. And that goes for audio, pictures, video, through code, whatever. You don't have ownership of the thing you did, that you put on the web. That is now public domain. If LLMs weren't used for financial gain, and it was just given to us, and it was just, here's the corpus of human knowledge, you can ask it anything you want, I'd have a completely different feeling about it. But the fact is it's companies stealing from us. You know, the infinite number of monkeys and infinite number of typewriters will eventually create the complete works of Shakespeare. Problem, right? Now, it's not in a finite amount of time. We're talking a very large amount of time, because it takes time for a monkey to type a word, right? Let alone type a book. So, at the very least, it has to be enough time that a monkey could type a book, or you could collect the book with words from all the monkeys before. It's probably an easier test. But the thing is that that is the paradigm that we're using to decide that AI is good. We're saying, look how fast it is. It's creating all this work, and if you don't like it, just have it do it again. And that is the infinite monkeys problem in real time. And I would argue you would never get the complete works of Shakespeare out of one monkey. You're going to have to collect you're going to have to pick and choose the bits. A paragraph from this monkey, and a sentence from here, and a word from there, and eventually you can glue it together. And that's more where we are, but you still have to glue it together. You have to know what Shakespeare is. There's a whole bunch of presumptions that you're making when you're doing the infinite number of monkeys problem. And that's the same problem we have with AI. We're making a whole bunch of assumptions, thinking that everything good is going to happen, but we're making an assumption of what even good is. Less time, more code, it's good. I'm not certain it is.